Today, I'm talking to you about a project that I'm absolutely passionate about, reducing and preventing, and that is UK knife crime. Thank you for my kind introduction. I am an Associate Professor in Forensic Science at De Montfort University, and as the kind introduction said, I've been involved in forensic science for 20 years. My work in knife crime research has involved me investigating an international project and implementing that within the UK. As I said, we currently have a huge problem within the UK, and I'm absolutely passionate about reducing and preventing it. And one answer is not difficult, it's not challenging, and it's not complex. In fact, there's a simple solution, and we can all help to achieve this resolution. So today I'm asking, what's the point? Changing knives and saving lives. So for a moment, I'd like you to focus on these images in front of you on the screen. There's a banana, a carrot, and a piece of cake. So let's imagine you're in your kitchen and you're about to perform these typical everyday tasks. Imagine you're perhaps slicing a banana, you're chopping the carrots, or perhaps you're cutting yourself a piece of birthday cake. What kitchen tool would you most likely use to perform these tasks? Well, what first comes to mind may be a knife, and that knife may most likely be a knife with a pointed tip, and it probably looks something like this. So you might be wondering, what is the point I'm trying to make here? Well, unfortunately, from my career history in forensic science and from the data from the Home Office Homicide Index, 39% of homicides from the years 2009 to 2019 actually involved the use of knives. And therefore, stabbing is the most frequently encountered homicide method within England and Wales. And as such, the most used sharp instrument or weapon is actually the kitchen knife. Now, I know how shocking this data is, as it represents the people behind this data. And it therefore raises the question, what are we going to do about knife crime in the UK? Now, if we focus on this image here, this is actually a sculpture called the Knife Angel, and it symbolises just some of the knives in UK society. It's constructed from 100,000 donated blades in knife amnesties, such as Operation Sceptre, which is the national knife crime campaign every November. These knives in the Knife Angel are donated in amnesty boxes around the country, and they cannot harm anyone anymore because the blades have been dulled, so they are no longer sharp. But when we look at the outstretched hands of the Knife Angel, it is as if the angel is actually asking us, why? Why is this happening? And in my opinion, there is one simple explanation. There is a pointless and a fundamental design flaw with kitchen knives in that the blades have pointed tips. The media articles represented here are just a sample representation of knife incident reports relating to the UK knife crime situation. We can see that the concerns that I've raised within my presentation are additionally reflected by accident and emergency trauma consultants, the judiciary, as well as other experts within the criminal justice sector and charities. Here we have a widespread societal issue, and it's in fact a public health issue. As shown in these map diagrams from the Crime Survey of England and Wales, it is not only a regional issue, but it's actually a national issue. And it's not only an urban issue targeting cities, it's actually a rural issue too. Many of you joining us here today will be from the Leicester area and the wider Leicestershire surrounding area. And if we look closely at Leicestershire in particular, we can see that 10 years ago on the left of your screen, there were considerably lower levels of recorded knife crime as compared to a decade later as we look towards the right of the screen. In fact, out of all of the counties within the East Midlands, Leicestershire has reportedly the highest level of knife-related offences compared to its neighbours. And as this institution, De Montfort University, is situated at the heart of Leicester, we are committed to supporting this city and the surrounding community with societal issues. We are honoured to be a global partner of the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and our SDG is 16, Peace, Justice and Strong Institutions. This therefore aligns to us contributing to crime reduction and prevention. We are also privileged to have had Baroness Doreen Lawrence as our previous Chancellor at DMU, and we are also proud to have the Stephen Lawrence Research Centre within our campus. Here we celebrate the life and legacy of Stephen Lawrence, and we also have a research hub where we can investigate social justice, equality and inclusivity. Now, the tragic circumstances of Stephen's murder involved a targeted street-based stabbing incident, and you may have the impression from the media that street violence is the cause of all knife crime. However, we must also consider that we have a hidden knife crime within the UK. I previously mentioned my background in forensic science casework, and I would like to share with you one of my experiences of a homicide case, alternatively known as a murder case. In this investigation, the alleged perpetrator was the victim's partner. The crime scene was their home, and the weapon was a kitchen knife. Here is a diagram representation of one of the clothing garments from the victim. There are lots of numbers here on this garment, and you might be wondering what the numbers represent. And I'm afraid to say that each number represents a stab hole within the clothing. Now, I know that these images may be upsetting, and I don't share them with you to cause offence or shock or upset, but this is an example of the hidden knife crime that is happening in homes around the UK, and sadly, it's not a one-off incident. 48% of female homicide victims are domestic related within the UK. 71% of homicides occur in a residential setting, such as at home. And in 38% of homicides with a female victim, the alleged perpetrator was the victim's partner or the former partner. My casework experience, along with the rising levels of knife crime within the UK, led to an international knife crime research experience in 2018, where I travelled to Toronto in Canada, amongst other cities within Canada, and also Australia, to investigate the approaches to knife crime in these countries to aid the UK response. This fact-finding opportunity involved engaging with crime scene investigators, forensic scientists, pathologists, police officers, crime scene investigators, and researchers to obtain this unique perspective. The reactive and proactive recommendations from this work were submitted to the 2018 House of Lords Forensic Science Inquiry and were communicated to the all-party parliamentary group on knife crime. There was one outcome in particular which prompted further inquiry, which was, are there alternatives to kitchen knives having pointed tips? And if so, what difference could the blade tip shape have? To investigate this, I formed a collaboration of academics and researchers from the two universities in Leicester, DMU and the University of Leicester, with expertise from the University of Northumbria. This partnership has led to a research study recognised as the first in the world of this kind. This month, November 2020, is significant for us. We are honoured as it has seen the publication of our research work in the peer-reviewed journal Science and Justice, as you can see here, which is actually also my first ever research journal article, and also coincides with Operation Scepter, the national knife crime campaign. Our experiments within this study involved the use of knives with novel-shaped tips in a stabbing motion study of resulting clothing damage. we were testing to see if the shape of a blade tip determines any resulting stab hole occurrence and appearance. As you can see in this coloured chart, this represents our study data, and there is only one knife that is coded green against the 4 garment fabrics that were tested. These garments may be encountered in anyone's wardrobe and were a faux leather skirt, denim jeans, a t-shirt and a jumper, whereas the pointed tip blades penetrated all of the fabrics tested in our study. Blade tip shape really is significant. The rounded tip did not penetrate the fabrics, therefore indicating that it did not result in a stab hole, unlike all of the other knives. Therefore, what we can conclude from this is that as clothing would act as a barrier to the skin, this potentially means that we can prevent injuries. Ultimately, this is of paramount importance, as typical kitchen accidents can be prevented from washing up, loading the dishwasher, retrieving cutlery from the cutlery drawer, as well as avoiding a domestic altercation resulting in a stabbing incident. So as I come to the end of this presentation, let's get back to the point. And what can we all do about knife crime? Well, we can change. We can see here that all of these typical kitchen tasks, the one I mentioned previously, are performed by rounded knives. Here I am showing knives for their intended purpose as kitchen tools. I would like this to be the enduring legacy that we can make a simple social and behavioural change by choosing to have and using rounded knives, and that these can save lives by preventing injuries. I will continue my work in pursuing legislation changes with the government and promoting rounded knives as safer alternatives. And our research has already been quoted in Prime Minister's Question Time. And we can all help to make this change together. Step by step, we can spread the message of rounded knives to our city, our community, our friends, and our families, as it's our homes, our kitchens, and our knives. Thank you for listening.